Well, hello, everyone. I'm Colleen and my daughter Robyn, as always, and we are so excited today to welcome Graciela Teofield. Where is it? Teofield?
Teofield.
Yeah, Teofield. And so we have known each other a long time and sometimes haven't talked with one another for a length of time, but there's always that heart connection and always knowing you're in the world.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So we're really excited to welcome her today. I'll just do a few announcements, read her bio, and then get right into it with her story. And I'm just so excited to catch up too, because it's been a little while since we've had this in-depth of a conversation, so we can catch up.
It has.
Yeah. So amazing time.
Time's been weird the last few years.
I tell you, I'm glad we're getting through it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is Graciela Teofield, and just welcome here again today. We are Reiki Lifestyle, and all of our information you can find on ReikiLifestyle.com, and of course the podcast and our class listings. I think we have classes coming up in August for Animal Reiki 1 and 2 and Animal Reiki Master, and also Reiki 1 and 2. And then we always have our distance Reiki share every Tuesday morning. It's always free and open to everyone. And also, I always like to remind people that it is completely okay if you need to arrive late and leave early. It is a completely stress-free place to come as it works for you. And you can find all that information on Reiki Lifestyle too. Robyn, is there anything else they should be announcing?
No, I don't think so. We will be, like you said, we have an Animal Reiki class coming up in a couple weeks, and you have Human Reiki just before that. So just the awareness that you can come and join us. Colleen and myself and Sue teach the Animal Reiki classes. So you have 3 of the 4 authors of the classes and courses. And we would love to see you there. So check out our calendar and register again at ReikiLifestyle.com.
And I remembered what I was trying to remember. The 7-day class that William Rand and I are teaching in Hana, Hawaii. It's a 7-day Karuna class in November. And you can email me about that, Colleen at ReikiLifestyle.com, or go to Reiki.org, look under William's class listings, and it's in there. It's in November and 7 days with the Karuna class and doing things, all the cool things there are to do in Hana. So anyway, okay, let's get to Graciela now. So awesome. All right, so I am going to read your bio, and then we'll get into your story about all the things that you're doing now. So Graciela has done many things around health and wellness, education, and spirituality. God has led her on a beautiful journey, and today she continues her passion to serve others through Reiki energy and vibrational sound therapy. She's a Medical Reiki Master through Raven Keys, a Holy Fire 3 Karuna Reiki Master through the ICRT with Colleen Benelli, me, and VSTCLP with Vibrational Sound Association. I wondered if I'd get through that one. With Vibrational Sound Association and a Yomassage Energy Practitioner. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. And she also holds an MA education from Portland State University. But really, so much more than that. I was excited to look at your website, and which is GracielaTeofield.com. And it actually is spelled like you would think, Graciela. Graciela. Teofield is TEOFIELD.com. So, and of course, it'll be in the show notes. So, also here talking about you as a medicine woman, practitioner, providing private wellness sessions, group events. And this one also really caught my attention. And I think I did not know this, that you also offer ceremonial hospice care, as well as sound medicine for a peaceful transition, compassionate end-of-life support. And I know Robyn is really excited to talk to you about your breath work too. So anyway, just a really amazing wealth of skills in the healing arts. So let's let you talk.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a mouthful. But it's interesting to see it on paper or to see it on the web page and whatnot and go, yeah, I guess I am doing these things. And in regards to the hospice vibrational sound ceremonies for that kind of snuck up on me. That came up as a need for a woman whose father was passing. And she wanted a sound bath for her father while he was in hospice. And the woman that she truly wanted had moved out of the Pacific Northwest, was no longer. So the woman knew about me, and I didn't know the woman. She contacted me and asked if I would be interested in doing something like that. And I'm like, wow, that would be beautiful. If I had that need or thought, that would have been a beautiful thing. And I said, well, of course I'll do it. So we got contacted together. And I ended up, was up in Washington, quite a ways, drove up there with all my equipment, all those bowls and everything. And I walk in and they have set up hospice in home. So there's a hospital bed and there's a gentleman in the bed. And I'm like, my heart immediately as I walked in felt such compassion. And I wasn't sure what I would see or feel or know as I'm walking into the space. And the gentleman, as I walked by the bed, he kind of leaned up and looked at me and he goes, well, hey, what are you here for? And I'm like, okay, we're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And such a loving man, such a loving family. And they did this together. So I set up for a vibrational sound bath. The sound actually was for about an hour. And the sound in the room just sounded different to me. For some reason, it just sounded different. And the gentleman, it took him maybe about, let me say 5-10 minutes before he just went deeply into his quiet space. And then his family around, once he went into his quiet space, the family around also could relax a little bit. And they went into their quiet space. And the whole time I was playing, I just had tears running down my face, you know, trying to be the practitioner. But I was feeling all of it. And when it was over, he thanked me, gave me a hug. The family was grateful that I was there. I packed up, you know, just like any other time. And within 2-3 days, I received a message that he had passed gently and very, with his family around him. And I was honored to be a part of that. And I guess word got out and different ones started reaching out to me. And each one is different, you know, the energy is always different. But yet it was something that was really, it touches me deeply. And the sound medicine, and mind you, I don't do anything without Reiki. So when I walk in, the Reiki comes before me. I'm like, go before me, clear the way, fix the space so that I may bring whatever needs to be brought. So every time, clear the space. Here I come. I'm being obedient to the call, and here I am. And that's how I got involved with that end of life ceremony. Usually they call me right near the end, and they might have maybe 2-3 days, maybe a week at the most, left with their family, and their family gets to have this experiences. It's been really rewarding for me, and I think rewarding for the families from what they say.
Well, it makes such a difference.
This vision when you were talking about how the sound was different, of, you know, piercing the veils, reverberating off the veils, and that kind of heavenly sound channeling through, because the veils in those time frames are so thin.
So thin.
Yeah.
It just had a different feel altogether. And when you're actually doing the work comes to you before it goes out. For me, even when I'm doing Reiki, it comes through me, and then I share it throughout. And when I'm using Reiki and sound and breath, it comes through here first. And sometimes I really have to be mindful. Don't lose it here. Don't lose it. You're the practitioner. You're not in. It's not about you. Get out the way. And I just envision the straw. I am the straw. Get out the way and allow whatever's going to come through to come. Get out the way, because I can feel it. I can still feel all of it. And it's just really a beautiful thing that we do. And sometimes I just have to remind myself, hold on to it. Hold on. Don't lose it here, because you are needed. You're the practitioner. You're the one bringing it.
Well, I think that was a really big topic that we just talked about in one of our classes this week, about what that actually means. Because at the same time, we are in that vibration. We are in the energy of it. And so the idea of it's not about you, except you are experiencing it too. And balancing that with, I am here to be that open channel. So it is learning that. I'm so glad you even brought that up.
And it does take a little practice, because when I first started, luckily I was doing it on family and whatnot, family and friends, not whatnot. Doing it on family and friends, early on, we'd all just be this Reiki mess together, because I couldn't quite discipline myself to be the channel to bring it. Because as it was coming, I was just so grateful of this wonderful experience that I was having and sharing, that not only was I sharing, but I was in it too. I was like, oh, this is good. This is really good stuff. But as I matured as a practitioner, it, like I said, hold on to it. Don't lose it here. You are needed. As the practitioner, you are needed.
And it's such a beautiful experience. I've done quite a bit of end of life care, and including with animals and pets too. And that empathy that is there. And I think of it so much like midwifing. We are midwifing them across. And you think of the same emotion at birth and midwifing at birth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so just profound. There's the experience, and then managing the empathy in the moment when you are the practitioner.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes a little discipline, a little practice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jan,
But
you
it's,
tell us to just imagine yourself going and sitting in a chair and seatbelt yourself in.
I tell people all the time, oh, buckle up, Buttercup. We're getting ready to go in.
It's funny.
So,
The card I pulled before this is hollow bone.
how appropriate.
No, right? Funny.
But Spirit knew that.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Always.
Always, always.
Well, so catch us up with what's been going on, and
Oh my
if
goodness.
there's any little family stuff too, because of course, I always feel connected with your family and your mom.
Yes.
And see that, of course, on social media as well.
Yes, yes. Mom is doing well. Mom is 99 and in her right mind, sharp as a tack. It's so interesting. I don't know, Robyn, how you feel about this, but that mother-daughter relationship, my mom has a technique that she can, I still haven't caught on yet, but I can be 12 years old in a twinkling of an eye. It's like, excuse me, how close to 70 do I need to be before I don't feel 12 anymore in your presence when you do this to me? However, mother's doing well. She's still home. Family takes care. My sons, two of my sons, myself, and a cousin, we team up so that she can stay at home. And she wants to be home, and we want her to be home. So she's home. With that said, it's not easy, but we get it done, and she's doing well. She's doing really well. What has happened since the last time we've been together? I think there was a humanity uprising and a pandemic has happened, and everything in between. So with my personal practice, I had to shut that down like 5 times with, when the pandemic happened, all those practices that were considered non-essential, well, they had to shut their doors. Well, we were non-essential at the time. And then we opened our doors, and then we closed our doors, and then we opened our doors. And then I got COVID. And then I got COVID again. So I closed the doors to my personal practice and just said, I'll just do events. I'll do vibrational sound events. I'll share Reiki, and we'll do that. And the sweet beloveds that I love and clients and guests were like, are you back yet? Are you back yet? Are you back yet? No, I know. And so now I'm back. They brought me back. And I have a private practice downtown Portland, Oregon. I'm located at the Fine Arts Building. It's a place where the Oregon Ballet Theater practices. It is at 1017 Southwest Morrison Street. I'm in Suite 408. And you can find me on a webpage or website with GracielaTeofield.com. When I got my webpage, I really wanted something clever about a name, and my business name, I wanted it to be clever and whatnot. I can't keep up with that stuff. So it's justmyname.com. You can find me. You can book an appointment with me, or you can call me directly, and we can chat it up and find out what it is you need and whether I'm the right person for you. But I offer Reiki. I offer vibrational sound therapies using sound. I offer breath work. That is my one-on-one treatments. I also have small groups where I do sacred tea ceremonies that are done in silence. We do breath work in small groups. That is there's two breath works that I do, transformational, where we're working with the sympathetic nervous system. And I do also the parasympathetic, where it's a little bit more gentle, a little less aggressive, and very appropriate for young people. I've worked with middle school up through second year in college. So all of that's available now. I have a modified work schedule, and I still am mom and grandma and great granny. Let's see, mom to 4, granny to 18, great granny to 5. So,
wow. And are they all around? Do they all live close by mostly?
Mostly. I have one daughter that's in Arizona. She has 4 children, and then her grandchildren are in Arizona and in Michigan. So that branch kind of left Oregon or left the Pacific Northwest, and the other 3 and their branches are still here in Portland.
Wow.
Yes.
Big family.
Big family. Fun family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do see, I do get to keep up a little bit with your family on social media.
Nice. Yes. I'm on social media. I'm still learning how to work that thing. I tell you, technology is not my friend. We are not best friends. We are still trying to work out a relationship, but you can find me on Facebook with just my name, Graciela Teofield. And on Instagram, one of my close friends and associates said, you can't put that over here. So they call me Graciela the Sage, because she says, you're one of our elders in the organization that I'm in, which is called Ladies of the Light. A lot of wellness practitioners are in that organization. And I'm the elder of the group, and live long enough, you learn a few things, and they call that sage information. So she says, this is what we're going to call you over here. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But you'll find me over there on Instagram as Graciela the Sage. And then here in Portland, I guess not just Portland anymore, because we're kind of branched out all over the US. I am also known, believe it or not, as Mama G. Since my name is a little bit unusual to a lot of folks, I also let them just call me G. But since I'm elder to the organization of Ladies of the Light, there's a way of interacting with our elders that I think a lot of groups have, but we don't address our elders by their first name usually. We as young people were saying, you better hang a title on that. You better hang a preface on that. And so rather than call me Miss G or Miss Graciela, as the kind of mother, they just Mama G. And it stuck. The first time I heard that, I was like, what is that? You don't quite, I hadn't quite arrived at that yet in my thinking. And as you see, Colleen, look what happened to my hair. I stopped coloring it. And look what was under there. And so that took, when I turned 65, that took an adjustment on my part. So a lot of personal adjustments have happened in the last 3 years, along with the pandemic and the COVID and whatnot. So I'm also not only Graciela Teofield, but I'm also Mama G, and I'm Graciela the Sage. And so I've kind of opened up that door and allowed the crone in me to continue to evolve. And I'm really beginning to like her a lot and admire the journey that she's been on to get here. And I don't know if it would have been as graceful without the Reiki, without sound medicine, without the pranayamas or the breath work. Those disciplines really show up for you, for me, working on the ego, kind of getting it to downsize and just stand in the truth of who you have been called to be and what you have been called to do. And so I'm grateful for the Reiki and all the other medicines that are with me, so that I could get to here. It's been a journey.
You know, I, of course, being in the same age group, and I'm 66 now, and going through that process of stepping into an elder within, prone within, it is a process. My husband and I were in Ireland in, I think, 1997, and it was one of the things that we talked about back then, and how there had been almost a generation of elders disconnecting. And I'm going to cough, so I have to mute myself a minute.
Okay.
Voice of the oh, throat track.
Yes.
How interesting. Interesting timing.
A good timing.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's those deep tickles when you're not supposed to cough. Those are the most intense.
Yeah.
And the ones that see it won't go away.
And the ones that you try the hardest to fight against.
Yes. And it's like, I'm going to choke.
Worse. Yeah.
It just makes it worse. That's why it's funny, because when I do Reiki, or I'm working on vibrational sound, or I'm doing a sound bath, I always have one spot that gets really dry. And so I always have these little candies already unwrapped, because, sound is part of the whole thing. I just put it in there. It's like, okay, now be quiet. I'm working here. Be quiet.
It's really
interesting.
He does that a lot too,
exactly.
Actually.
Yeah, that's exactly how that I have to do the same thing. That one little tickle. But I was sharing about how husband Robyn, his name is Robyn also, and I had really had the discussion about elders, and we would have been in our 40s at that time. And we said at the time, and kind of in a powerful way, that we would grow into elderhood at that time. And so then listening around it for the years, like, what does that mean? And am I there yet? And have I made, is it a transition? And I don't mean it like, am I there yet? Like, did I get there? I mean it like, is that what this is? And how to transition. And, you and I talked so much in 2020 and about this awareness. And many of you that are listening will remember the story I tell often about working together with Graciela as grandmothers and we did journeys together, asking the question of, what can we do? What is our role here? How can we help? How do we contribute? And I like your words of humanity uprising and the pandemic. And so when she and I were working together, we said, well, let's go to the ancestors and ask them, what knowledge do you have that you can impart on us? Because our ancestors have many gifts and abilities because they've been through these things, and probably us in past lives as well. So kind of listening to the ancient ones. And they said to both of us at the time, go to the descendants and ask them. And so I just got such
I got chicken skin.
Yeah, me too. It's going back, and because it has been such a powerful awareness, and that part of the elder, and we've done so much in the last couple of years with our mantra from those journeys was, what we can do is stay stable and be kind. And that has been such a guidance of, and then Reiki for how to. And as I said at the beginning, even if we weren't talking, I knew you were there.
Mhm.
And another lady
Exactly.
of the light, and the ladies of the light that you work with, and that networking of that same intention of contributing wellness through that stability, through the willingness to grow into that crone elder. What does that mean? And not with the ego, but, not with like, let me tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them what they need from us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
It's been really interesting because I didn't recognize that I was in that season. Others recognized that I was in that season. And the descendants were the younger women, the younger people were coming at me. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, did you consider this? Did you consider that? But then having to quiet myself to hear what the ancestors were saying. Honestly, I don't know if I shared this with you before, Colleen, but the way I got into sound medicine was just truly orchestrated by the ancestors and the descendants. It truly was orchestrated by them because I had absolutely declined the invitation. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And when the Reiki came to me, that was more for self-healing and to get me stable because I had just gotten ill with a condition that had no cure. And the Reiki is what held me, held my health and not only my physical health, but my spiritual and mental health. It was a tool that I used to just kind of ground myself and just hold still for a moment and let the healing take place. Be consistent. Okay. So that the Reiki came for me personally. And then I was able to use it for others afterwards. But continuing on to use the Reiki and move into the sound medicine, that was well orchestrated by all of the unseens. And it was really quite tricky because I had absolutely said, no, that's not for me. I'm not doing that. And they're like, well, we've sat with you long enough and we're through talking with you because you're not listening. Evidently, your head is still hard. I'm like, well, you knew that. I can hear grandmothers more them than the grandfathers. The grandfathers kind of, when I would sit in my quiet time, they kind of sat on the back. Well, you already know who she is and how she is. So these conversations were happening in my personal journey time. And so we had a tragedy in the family. I don't know if we'll ever be the same. Hopefully we will continue to grow and be better and heal. Tragedy happened, let's see, about 7 years ago. Children were involved. 3 small children were involved. And they were going into talk therapy to help deal with the trauma that had happened. And I had 2 of them at my house. One crazy little grandson who was about 6 or 7. And then one very sophisticated granddaughter who was about 12. And I mean, very sophisticated, soft-spoken, well-spoken. And the little boy was all boy. Climbed my walls. I promise you, I can see handprints on the wall where it climbed the door jamb and high-five high five my wall with a smutty hand. But oh boy, touching everything. So one day we're standing in front of my dresser. They had spent the weekend with me. And my dresser was one that had all my crystals on it, miscellaneous woo-woo things. And there was a mirror, and we were facing the mirror. So the grandson is touching everything, and he won't just touch it. He wants to play that game where you, like marbles, you thump one crystal so it'll bump the other one to bump another one. And I'm like, okay. And I had a singing bowl. There's a little tiny one on my dresser. And I thought I bought it because I thought it was cute. I could put bracelets in it and feathers and whatever else. And I picked it up and I allowed it to sing. And then I began to make it sing. And I let it go around and around and around. And then I let go. And it continued to sing and sing and sing and sing. I noticed a little boy just kind of calmed all the way down, which was rare. And I'm like thinking to myself, oh, wow, what have we here? Calming medicine with this sound? I need to use this more often. I'm just chattering in my head because I don't see him that way. And then I looked in the mirror and the young lady had tears running down her face. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I've done something to upset her. I've triggered her in some way. And oh my goodness. So I let the bowl finish singing and I set it down. And I looked at her and I spoke to her like I speak to her. I said, baby, tell Granny, what did I do? Did I upset you? Are you okay? What happened? What did I do? And she kind of really got herself together, took a deep breath. She let it out. She says, no, Gran, you didn't upset me. You didn't do anything. She said, when you played that bowl, she said, for the first time since the incident, I felt like I could take a deep breath. I knew I had some medicine that I knew nothing about. We all hugged it up, but it was the descendants. The ancestors had been calling, we need you to step into this. We need you because we need you. And I said, no. I said, okay, fine. We're going to throw the mantle to the descendants. And they are going to turn around and look you in your face and tell you point blank, it works. And I've been doing sound medicine with Reiki ever since. And that's how this thing got to where it is right now. The descendants came and got me, and I picked up the mantle of the calling. You know, we have that agreement prior to getting here. You will walk in this way. Yes? And we say yes. And spiritually, we sign this contract, and oh, yes, it's going to be wonderful. And we get down here like, I'm not doing that. And then you wrestle with it. You wrestle with it. You wrestle with the calling. You wrestle with the mantle. You have your self-arguments. And then these little sweet faces come and turn around and look you dead in your face and say, it worked. Thank you. Now what? So now I work with energy, frequency, and breath. That's on my website. All that stuff had to happen in my spirit in order to get the website to say, I work with energy, frequency, and breath. I do that. Yes, I do. Thank you, descendants. Thank you.
Wow. What a story. That's amazing.
Yes. I think it's amazing too. I mean, I was quite defiant. Quite defiant. I'm not doing that.
Well, and there's such the sage wisdom, right? And the wisdom, like you said earlier, the wisdom that you receive through just, living
Long
life
enough.
years and being in that stage of crone medicine. And even though it had to maybe face you in a couple of different ways, you still ended up like, oh, I get the message. And being in the mother, and maybe we should define that when we say crone, there's maiden, mother, and crone cycles of life. And, being in the mother cycle, it's like, how many times would that have had to hit me over the head before I would have listened? Probably a few more,
Exactly. And it's interesting though. As you say, there are these cycles and seasons of our lives. And I watch my mother and I watch my grandmother. I didn't think anything of it. Okay, well, your hair is white. Okay, well, you knew all about that. Thank you. It didn't drop down deep enough for me to really embrace, oh no, you are not just my mom. You are not just my grandmother. You are my grandmother. You are the crone and you are carrying wisdom from your mother and your grandmother and tracing that lineage all the way back. And then, I don't know if you've ever been to a fun center or a circus or something, they've got those repeating mirrors where you see it and then you see it, and it just goes to you can't see it anymore. That's how they line up for me now. They said they just keep, and then there's this one, and I do, when I pray and speak to them, I speak to them for the knowns and the unknowns because I don't know them all. I can only go back so far, and that is what resides in me now. That's what woke up in this crone season. Their medicine, along with the medicine that I'm learning here with the Reiki and the sound and the breath, their medicine of wake up. We need you to walk this way. Wake up. We need you to touch it that way. No, you didn't touch it like we said. Touch it like we said. And just those things that are being revealed moment by moment is just so powerful.
Well, and knowing how to listen. And I would say that that's one of the things that I'm really grateful for in being in a stage, that's led by the crone, that you have that sage wisdom, and something that, Colleen has taught me and to such a deep level. And then also being in the energy and listening, having that energy to be able to help heal the parts that maybe don't want to listen, is that really that understanding of that deep listening to those that have come before us, and being able to listen to the sages and the crones. And of course, there's times where I need to, like you said, get myself out of the way and listen. I'm definitely not perfect at it, but being in that presence in this stage, as well as having my own wisdom and uncovering that, but really being able to be in that deep listening stage to those that have come before me, and that wisdom that you all carry. And, I think as maidens, probably that is one of the places that we have to learn to get to. But then as mothers, and also listening to the descendants, listening to my daughter, and the wisdom, like you said, that they carry, but just that really deep listening is so important in this kind of in between stage that I'm in, and listening to those that have come before me, and just sharing that too with people that are listening, that are in a similar stage of as me, listening within, listening without, but also really being in that presence of listening to the sages, the crones, the ancestors, the descendants.
Exactly. What I'm finding right now is these new children that are coming. They are already aware. They came ready. They came. I got chills off of it too. They come different. It's different. I've heard terms of names that they've given some of these children, the crystal children, the blue children, or they are no nonsense. And yet there is a liberty to them and a freedom to know things that are so far beyond, well, should be so far beyond them. It's like, yeah, right. You know, they know these things, or they understand these things. They came that way. And it's like, it took me almost 70 years to get that. How do you know that? What's the big deal? I don't know what the big deal is. I'm just happy that you know this, and walk it out. Have a nice day. They are just amazing. And they're not traditional children, and they will not be treated like traditional children. You can try, but they are, from my generation, they might be viewed as challenging children. They will challenge the status quo. They will ask you a million times, why do you think that way? Or why is it like that? Why? Like, I don't know why. We did it that way and it seemed to work. Well, I don't want to do it like that. I'm like, why? But this new group, I'm going to say 15 and younger, they are the ones. They are opening doors. They are the ones that are going to show us the way. And we kind of are walking in a particular way, but they've got some shortcuts that I just never thought of. It's like, we don't need that. Let's go this way. What? Wait. Have you thought this through? Do you have it written out so we can follow along? No, just come on. Come on, you'll be fine. Come on. So when you're talking about the different seasons, this new batch of young people, this new batch of even these new babies coming along, they not only spiritually and emotionally so far in advance, physically, some of these babies are walking at 6 months old. I mean, they just kind of roll over, stand up, and take off. I'm like, oh, you have one of those. So it's just interesting to see the new batch of young people coming along. I think we're going to be in good hands, not hands that we're familiar with, not assignments or pathways that we're familiar with, but I think we're going to be in good hands. And as I said before, we might need to buckle up, buttercups, because I think the journey is just really getting ready to get interesting.
And and I see you calling just real quick. They're called Gen Alpha. And
Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha. And I think about that.
Wow.
Reset. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Alpha. Absolutely. I embrace that for them.
Yeah, right? So
yeah.
Restart.
Fresh start. High up on the top shelf.
Chills again, just the whole time. Well, one of the things I wanted to clarify for the listeners too is when we are talking about ancestors and descendants, we can carry grandmother medicine and have no children. We can talk to the descendants, and they don't have to be a direct lineage. So also inclusive of everyone. And I've actually, when I've been talking about work we've done together, Graciela, I talk about us working together with grandmother medicine. And people will ask, well, what does that mean? And we can see children with grandmother medicine, and we can see people with grandmother medicine, and it can also be, both genders and non-binary. So it's an energy flow, and connecting with the descendants and the ancestors is also like on the broad term. And then, of course, we have the ones that we're more connected with. But that, when you said that, I feel like we're in good hands, in a couple of the journeys that I've done recently, it's a kind of a long way to get to the story, so I'll shorten it. Going to the descendants, they showed that what we are doing right now really matters, that we are contributing to their ability to be in their inner truth, to discover themselves, rather than our generation being raised in the outside authority, do what we're told. These kids are coming in, and what we can do is hold the stability for them. When I went really far out into the descendants, when I say really far, it felt like more than the 7 generations, but maybe not. Maybe it's all the way through. And they said, we want you to know that humanity does evolve, and you really could call us the ascendants. Yeah.
I appreciate hearing that. I really appreciate hearing that. When I think of descendants, like I think of the ancestors with a repeating mirror, I see the descendants with a repeating mirror. From generation to generation into eternity, it doesn't stop. That's my visualization. And the whole wholesomeness is so complete. And what I see is that it's based in love. There's no greater medicine. There's no greater power. There's no greater influence. It is the love that is just pop, 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 and it just keeps popping through. And that's what keeps other stuff is falling away, but that love is consistent. And I tell people often, it says, no, I'm not talking mushy stuff. I'm talking that divine power of love, where that compassion lives, where the oneness comes about, where we're no longer this or that. It's this and that. So it's a collective oneness and expression of force. And I just see that we are in good hands, and the hands are getting better. They just keep getting better. And it's just that love thing that just it does not crush. It does not dissipate. If anything, it gets stronger and more powerful, and yet not a bully. It is not a bully. You will love. No, it's not. You have permission to love. You have permission to love as hard or as strong as you want, or you can. And from my era, I said, oh, it's such a gentleman. Pull out your chair, open the door. Would you like this? Would you like that? Come, have a seat. Let's have a conversation. Just very gentleman, compassion, that energy of love, just kindness, just holding. And you can't get rid of it. I'm so grateful we can't get rid of it. And it prevails over and over and over, generation to generation to generation. And the alpha generation, what do you call it?
Yeah, Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha. Mm-hmm. Man, they show it a little differently. But they've got it. They absolutely have it. And Colleen, in regards to the grandmothers, oh my gosh, they are so beautiful to me. And they're grandmothers that are not just like my DNA grandmothers. It's the grandmothers of the planet, of all humanity, it's just that journey that I had, I think it was with you, my dear, where the grandmothers came and then we were all in this group hug after this ceremony, and all the attire was from where they lived. Some Japanese, some Iranian, some African, some Latin American, some hills, some lowlands, the customary clothing of the people, the women, all the grandmothers had on their own clothing. And we were doing this huge hug because it was time you were calling us out of our journey. And I'm like, wait, I'm not ready to go. And they said, oh yeah, you're ready. And I'm like, so we're hugging. And I don't know if I told you this, but as we're hugging and I'm embracing all these generations of grandmothers around, one of those little ladies pierced my nose in the journey. I'm like, ow! And the circle opened. I said, you pierced my nose? Go get that taken care of. I'm like, but you pierced my nose?
Stuff you can't make up.
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
So shortly thereafter, I was obedient. Almost 70 years old, and they told me what to do. I went and had it done.
You listened to that time.
And I can see them all laughing just the way you are. All of them laughing. We did it.
Got her. Oh, goodness.
And
Yes.
so funny because it's so opposite of usually, you think of the kids saying, I'm going to pierce my nose, and them all saying, don't pierce your nose.
Don't do that. I worked hard on that nose. It's like, So yeah. Interesting things happen when you work on different sides of the veil, in the seen and in the unseen, in the conscious and the subconscious, and in the realms of the ancestors and the descendants, in the spirit realm. Interesting things happen. I used to think it was really kind of scary until I started having my experience. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. A lot of love.
Well, it's fascinating. And of course, I think of part of the work that we are doing right now is learning truly that we are beautiful beings of love, and humanity loves deeply. And one of the great harms right now is all the human shaming. Mm. And so I believe that's part of what we're doing, is just remembering that love that you're speaking of is what it's all made of. Mm-hmm. And what we are made of, and what are driving, who we really are is made of, and all the different ways we express it. And, we know right now there's a lot of divisiveness about that. But when we really look at who we are, everywhere I've ever been throughout the world, people love greatly.
They do. They do. It's interesting. Some of the things that are revealed don't necessarily line up with some of the teachings that are out there for me. So I know that there's a lot of talk about third dimension, and it's that this or that. You're either this or you're that. or you're either good or you're bad, or you're, all of that divisiveness, all those lines of demarcation. What side of the line are you on? But as I sit, as I have sat, it has been revealed in some of the teachings that I've read and some of my quiet time that we're moving from that. And in the next season, in the next, if this is third, fourth, fifth, we will be becoming one. It's not this or that, it's this and that. And it fits well. Now that we know that we are one, now this hand fits well with his hand. So where you were strong here, I'm going to let you come in here where I'm weak. And so the strong and the weak will be merged together. And there's going to be a unity, humanity unity, which is very energetic. And if you have your hands like this, someone can come and push one hand and it slide off. But if you have your hands like this, someone can come, but you're not going to get too far because there's a unity here that really holds a oneness together. And I'm really envisioning that type of humanity in our near future. I mean, we've got feet in there now, and more is showing up. And as it's revealed, it's like, oh, that does look good. I kind of like that too. Can I come play? So it's here, and we're moving more and more and more. And the further we get away from news and propaganda, and the more we get out in the community and start looking around at other human beings, we see it. They're not going to show it to us on TV, but when you walk around, goodness, it's just beautiful. And honestly, recently I've noticed, since I'm downtown now, downtown Portland, with all the things that downtown Portland went through, and where downtown Portland is now, it's still a little bit chaos.
Yeah.
But you see more this, even with the chaos and the unhealthy people that might be down there from time to time, every day. You see more of this than you see, go that way, get out of here. You see more compassion or more humanity that you were speaking about. We love, and we don't like to see people hurt or in hurt or harmed or causing harm. We want to stand together. And I'm seeing more of that. Even in the midst of chaos, I'm actually seeing more of it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, I love the idea that you are there with the work that you do, because the energy, I mean, exactly where you are in downtown Portland is such a beautiful place. And to have the energy that you bring with you just ripple through there. I can feel the vibration of it, and bringing that two hands together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Colleen, because the space that I got, my ego, I'm going to give you a short version of this. I went in to see the space. The gentleman, the manager, showed me the space. It's a suite. It's 4 rooms. It's right on the corner of Southwest. I'm up on the 4th floor. On the corner of Southwest 10th and Morrison. There's 2 trolley lines, one up Morrison, one up 10th. So I go in and I'm like, this is not the spot. And I'm like, no. Spirit said, go sit down. Let him go. I said, I'll close it up. I'm just going to sit here and get a vibe, how it feels. So I went in one of the rooms and I just sat on the floor because there's no furniture in it, just walls and the floor. I sit on the floor and I listen. and there is major chaos outside. There's a couple guys that were swearing up and down the street so loud it sounded like they were in the room next door. The trolleys were going down, ding, 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 ding. And the train tracks, you could hear that. You could hear cars going by and honking. And there were at least 2 ambulances or fire trucks that went by. And I'm like, oh no, this is too much. This is too much chaos for me. This is not what I'm looking for. Spirit says to me, well, where is all that chaos? I'm like, it's outside. Exactly. It's outside. That has absolutely nothing to do with you. You are called to be inside. You create a healing environment inside. Isn't that like life? You are to create a healthy, healing environment inside. And the chaos and craziness that happens to you around you that you see with your natural eyes, the majority of the time it has nothing to do with you. You walk in wholeness, in that truth, in that universal life force that I put in there. You want to call it Reiki, call it Reiki. You want to call it medicine, call it medicine. But this is your responsibility. What's out there has nothing to do with you. Do the work. I'm like, what? The lip rolled out. I felt like I was 6 years old. I sat there with my arms crossed. It's like, you've got to be, attitude, neck and everything. You've got to be kidding me. You really want me to bring this sound sensitive, quiet, centering energy into this? I absolutely do. Go tell him you'll take it. So I did. And everyone that walks into my space, they don't even get all the way through the door. They're just like, oh, oh. And I'm so grateful that I listened to Robyn and I followed instruction and did not have a hard head, because I truly had no intentions of taking that spot because of the chaos that was outside. And it's interesting. I had a client yesterday. It was pretty active outside with the trolley cars, no swearing people or anything, but the trolleys were really loud yesterday. And when my client sat up and we were debriefing and going through, how are you? How did it go? She says, it was the first time, and I can't remember how long, I heard silence. I start laughing. I'm like, silence? I was so annoyed with all of the noise that was outside that was coming in. I thought, surely she's not going to get what she came for. The Reiki went right where it was supposed to go. Sound medicine went right where it was supposed to go. The breath work was right there for her when she needed it. And she heard silence. So that, for me, that was affirmation of what I had been told and what I wanted to fight against. But Spirit leads. And when Spirit leads and we have the confidence and the trust available to walk it out, some really amazing things are happening. And so that's in regards to the quiet and the chaos and all of that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's just say what's interesting too about just the space in general is one of the things that's happened over the last couple of years, and that's not unique to Portland, is the work from home phenomena, right? That so many businesses have changed their structure, which is leaving a lot of places in downtown areas in a different situation that they were before. Many, vacant places, floors of buildings, things like that. And just by hearing your story of this and where you were guided and need to be, and then the idea that the ballet practices in that same building, there are just certain things that are going to need in-person connection. Arts being one of them, your work being one of them, this kind of work being one of them. And that the idea that it's possibly making space for that sort of thing to move into those spaces is really fascinating idea that, yeah, maybe businesses don't need that level of connection that are like office jobs. Maybe they're fine being completely work from home or online. But there are certain industries, certain things that need that in-person connection. And this industry being, there's an element, obviously, Colleen and I are a lot online, but there are many people that don't connect to that. Or we need, in addition to that, we need that in-person connection. And how interesting that this is potentially that migration to those ideas and arts and, those kinds of things.
It's interesting you say that, because the technology is so important. We can reach anywhere in the world with technology. We can share this medicine anywhere, anytime we want. And yet, as you say, with that human connection is so important. It's like, look me square in my face, touch me. So many times I'll have a guest and I don't even hardly get to do the work, because soon as I touch, soon as the actual touch takes place, there is such a connection, emotional connection, because I've been told I've not been touched by another human being in so long. And just you touching me, I felt like I was human again. Now that's real. That is so real. And so the combination is necessary. We need both. We need to reach the world, however we can do it using technology. But for those who have it available and are willing and see the need, they need that physical touch. They need that interaction.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know, like you said, we're also find the technology very important, especially as we see, like in our distance Reiki share, we have people from all over the world, and, they can reach it through a cell phone, which is a very big equalizer for many people. And that is so important. But one of the things that a session had kind of showed me is this pendulum had swung to technology, and the worry that we're going to lose that connection because we're just staring at it through a phone or a computer. It actually showed that it equalizes back because of that lack of connection, that people are going to be searching for the in-person connection as well. And it actually is going to really help to balance those things, because the pendulum always swings back and forth, right?
Has to.
And that it equalizes on the side of technology, but then also it shows the importance of that human in-person connection as well.
As you were saying that, I was seeing each person that got touched went into technology to tell them, go. This is what it is, and we're going to do it like this, but also go. And so it's just spreading.
Hands clasped. It's both.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Well, and for those that can't see what we're doing, that are listening, it's our hands coming together with our, would that be called, with our fingers? Fold
your hands.
Yeah, folded hands together with our fingers folded together. Well, the one thing that we haven't really gone too in depth with yet is your breath work.
Mm,
Can you share about what you are doing with that and how that's working in your sessions?
absolutely. Breath work. It's interesting because you say, "Can you breathe?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm alive." But there is a way, and these are things that I found out as I was studying breath work. And it's like, "Can you breathe?" Yeah, of course I can. I'm alive. But you breathe to stay alive. What I've learned is that there are ways and techniques to breathe that get you through different situations that can be very healing, or an instrument to get through maybe a stressful day or a stressful encounter, which is, without going into the whole lesson, it's really quite powerful. One side of the teaching that I have is for the parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest or chill. And then you've got this other nervous system, or the other side of your nervous system is the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight, flight, or faint. And so over there, you are creating long term, you are creating disease in your body because the adrenals don't turn off. And high stress affects is probably a component of probably 80% of all diseases. So this way of being for us, because we turn it on and we don't know how to turn it off, but there is a breath technique that can turn this off or get you through that quickly. On this side, it's just the rest and digest. It's like if you just stay over there too long, you're not going to get much done. You're just going to be chilling, living your best life, somewhat blissful, but not getting much done. But we need a balance. Okay, we need to bring both sides together to get stuff done, but not get sick. So what I have done last summer, I taught at an internship for I Am More Resilient here in Portland, Oregon. It's with Dr. Renee Mitchell. I taught the young people, middle school up through second year in college, using the parasympathetic method of breathing. And there's like 6 different techniques that I pulled out and like, we're going to learn these. We're going to use these. You can use these in your quiet time. You can use this in meditation. You can use it on the fly, eyes open and in the middle of a situation. Okay. This will help calm you down and bring you focus for exams, when you're having chaos or a disagreement with another person, whether it's family, school, teachers, whatever. You can use these techniques to kind of center yourself, ground yourself, and stay focused and not lose your mess. Okay, not lose it because something's coming at you. And it also helps to center for a day. I tell them, I said, if you only have 2 minutes to get out of the door, stand at the door and do one breath technique. Just 2 minutes. Focus with intention, use that breath technique, give thanks, and walk out the door. You set yourself up for a really positive day. Doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen, but is positive. The transformational breathing for the sympathetic nervous system is 2 counts in, 2 counts out, and it's very aggressive. It's an aggressive way to get to it. I don't use this with young people. I just don't. Some people do, but I choose not to. I use the more gentle approach to young people so that they can really work with what they're thinking and what they're feeling and what they're seeing. Over here, this is usually done either in a private one-on-one or in a large group. one of my teachers comes to Portland every now and then, JP Crimmy, and he usually does this technique with at least 100 people to 150. And everybody is lying down, and he teaches the technique like that. They do it, and then there is this massive release, because what happens is this technique quiets down the prefrontal cortex. This is I call it the Yebbets mind. No matter what you say to it, it says, yeah, but remember the last time you tried to do something like this? It quiets that down and just says, oh, just go have a seat. Then you have access to the subconscious, where all that soup is for healing. And so now you are available. What needs to be looked at first? Do you want to keep that? Does that still serve you? So all of that is happening using this transformational breath technique. It is intense, and it is very thorough, and can be done, like I said, in a private group or one-on-one. And so I do both of those. I do more so with the parasympathetic, because people come in, I add this to their treatment. As I was telling Robyn earlier, when people come into me now, rather than say, I think I want a Reiki session. No, I want a vibrational sound therapy session. No, I want breath work. No, you get one choice. Come in. And as I sit with you, I write up a spiritual prescription, seeing what it is that you're going through right now, what you need. And that's what you'll receive for your day. Because each time you come in, you're never the same. So in there, you'll have opportunity to have your Reiki. You'll have opportunity to learn 1, 2, 3 breath techniques. We'll practice those. That will be your homework when you leave. And you'll get vibrational sound therapy, where the metal bowls are placed around and on the body to vibrate down deeply into the water of the body and release tension, stress, all of that together. There are times that something is real specific, and I'll pull out my tuning forks and line that hurts up with where you have a need, to see if we can get that release and then balance. And so the breath work is really part of that. And they come in, they get everything. They get the kitchen sink. One time it might be heavy on this side, or this technique, or this offering. The next time it might be heavier on this side. But I've never had anyone leave that was not better than they were when they came in. And that's been a real aha moment for me in this new opening of my practice, versus piecemealing it. No, come this week for Reiki. No, come next week for sound. No, come next week for... No, you come. We'll see where you are. And we will, together, we'll work out a prescription for you today for where your needs are. And breath is usually part of that.
So you also teach?
I teach it, and then they take it. Okay. So I'm not teaching someone to be a teacher. I'm teaching them so they can use it personally.
And so those are those classes also in downtown?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And are they all listed on your website?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, they are.
Well, so fun to catch up with you. And I'm actually just really excited about you being downtown too. And
thank you.
It makes me realize I'm wanting to go down and go downtown. I haven't been there for a little while now. And not because of not going, just being at home and the pandemic and, being used to being out here in Gresham instead of being downtown.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I've always missed it.
It's interesting. Things are starting to come back. Like where I am, there's a couple empty spaces down below that have just been cleaned up, and they're like, ooh, I'm like, got my spot, but this is nice. But right next to it is a art shop, a frame shop. Right next to that on the corner is this beautiful Japanese store with everything. I walked in there and I was like, oh. I mean, everything, clothing, pottery, artwork, leather goods, shoes, pants, jackets, books. I'm like, oh no, I don't need another book. But it's a beautiful place, and there's these lovely restaurants coming along, and you see people walking up and down the street, and it's organically coming back. It's organically coming back. I'm so glad that I'm there.
I'm so glad you're there.
Thank you.
You say I can feel the vibration rippling out. Like you say, it's inside, but also it is rippling out, and it matters.
It does, doesn't it?
It matters, yeah.
It really does.
Balance and heal and empower those higher vibrations. And, Portland has always had that really beautiful frequency. And so it's not gone. It just needs some empowerment.
Yes, that's so true. It's
Just
interesting.
Just like we do sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, indeed. I'll take what she's having.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, thank you so much. So fun to catch up with you. And again, Graciela Teofield.com for all of the information to find her for Reiki and sound healing and breathwork sessions and different classes and other offerings I know that you do. Following you on Facebook, I think, is also, for me, has always been fun to just catch up and what the ladies of the light are doing. And
yes,
for a while there, you were traveling around quite a bit.
We did our tour. I think that was 2022. We did our tour all over the US, and we met with different healing practitioners in different cities. Just wanted them to know, oftentimes the healers, and I don't consider myself a healer. I set up healing environments and healing takes place, but that's the responsibility of the individual, because our bodies are supposed to heal themselves given the right environment, right? Okay, well, I do my best to set up the environment. However, just for language sake, we became healers to the healers, because oftentimes as practitioners, we need us. We need somebody to step up and do to and for us what we do for others. And so this was an opportunity to basically travel the US. I think we had 6 different cities that we went to, and we opened it up to the public, to the healers that were in the towns. Would you like to come and join us? We have this to offer. And we had beautiful, beautiful practitioners showing up, and we were just loving on them and nurturing and giving them what they give out, kind of trying to replenish, put back into. And so often we give so much that we forget that we also need to receive. And one of my teachings on the last one here, one of my teachings that I am so adamant about is that we are to give out of the overflow. Never, ever, ever give your seed. Never, ever give your seed. And so often, especially women practitioners, women who are wellness practitioners, women who are mothers, we will give our all. We will empty out our cup until there's nothing. And then you look in the cup and there might be a half a seed in there. Like, what are you going to do with that? Okay, well, we'll just wait because that needs to germinate and you need to feed that. And so if we learn to, like a flower, it comes up and it blooms over the side of the pot, trim off that top. That belongs to you in your gift bucket. But what's in the bucket, that's yours. And you need to nurture that.
Well, what a beautiful just gift to share.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the ladies of the light.
I also
filling back up. So important.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to mention too that Graciela does group events.
I do.
Yeah, you do group events. So if you want to get a group of friends together or something like that, I've seen one of the trends is people doing it for like, no, I can't think of it. Bachelor parties, things like that. But also just any other group events if you're feeling called. She does sound baths for groups, and so you can find that on her website too, because that's definitely an interest that continues to grow, which is amazing.
Yay. Actually, I will be doing sound baths this summer with Crystal Springs Rhododendron Garden. And I have, I know this is not going to air in a timely fashion for this, but you might be able to catch a couple June 29th, July 27th, August 18th, and September 22nd. I will be at Crystal Springs Rhododendron Garden. You can look up their website and come on in. I've got a small little wedding garden, and we'll be doing a vibrational sound bath outside after hours. So hopefully you'll be able to see the changing of the sky as the evening comes in and be there with the sound. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited about that.
It sounds amazing. The rhododendron gardens, if you haven't been and you're here in Portland, they are so beautiful.
So beautiful. And then also I'll be doing a few sound baths with Make and Mary. They are located on Northeast Sandy Boulevard. You can look them up under makeandmary.com. She also has a retreat coming up in September 22nd through the 24th. It's a releasing ceremonial type gathering of women, and I will be there as one of the sage and practitioners, and also doing vibrational sound bathing there. And that's going to be pretty cool too. You can find that information on her website, makeandmary.com.
It's like, got to get my calendar out and get that down. It's so nice too to be with someone local that I actually can go to your events.
See, that's nice.
Yeah, and the Crystal Rhododendron Garden, that is when I've spent a lot of time there. When my grandkids were little, that's where we went pretty regularly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
It is. It is. In fact, I think I have a lot of really great photographs from there.
Oh, well, come join me.
I will definitely get that. Is that all on your website?
It's on Crystal Springs Rhododendron website.
Okay.
I don't have it on mine.
Okay.
I need to put the link on it, but there goes that technology.
Right. Well, Robyn and I always call it's on the list.
Okay.
List. I'll get that on. It's on the list.
It's on the list.
Yeah. Well, again, just thank you so much, and absolutely wonderful being in connection with you. Now, do you also have an email address people can reach you, or do you prefer they call you?
They can email me. My email address is gteofield@gmail.com.
Great.
Real simple.
Yeah.
Well, once you know my name.
Right.
I'm not clever. It's too much to keep up with.
I think it's a really easy one, actually.
It's clever that it's easy.
There you go.
That's where the cleverness lies.
Thank you.
Well, and for Robyn and I, as always, just catch us at ReikiLifestyle.com for all the different things there are to think about or to look at with us. So thank you again so much. And thank you for all the listeners out there listening. And just, if you are interested, be in touch with Graciela, because you don't have to be in Portland to be in touch with her. So you definitely can reach out, check out her website, and be in connection with her in all the different ways that are possible. And I think that's everything. So, Robyn, anything else? Or
no, thank you, Graciela, and thank you to everyone listening.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Love you guys.
Oh, we love you too.